Dear Professor Ross, Mr. Chairman, dear Professor Kran, members of Parliament, Excellencies, distinguished panelists and lecturers, ladies and gentlemen. It's a special privilege and honor to welcome you for this year's symposium and the award ceremony for the 2015 Deutsche Bank Prize in Financial Economics. The recipient, Professor Ross, is with us, and we award the prize for his outstanding work and contribution to the development of a wide range of fundamental theories in the world of finance, used widely by both academics and professionals in the financial industry. I take this occasion also to remind everybody that this is the 10th anniversary of the Deutsche Bank Prize, and Professor Kran already reminded you of some of the recipients who are with us today. A warm welcome also to all of you. When the prize was established in 2005, it was created to honor outstanding and internationally renowned researchers for their groundbreaking work in the world of financial economics. And from the beginning, the spirit of the prize was such that it was meant to emphasize the interplay of theoretical findings and its practical implications. With this in mind, I am convinced that today would have been difficult to find a more deserving winner than Professor Ross. I have to say, in passing, you just mentioned that you were surprised to be awarded this prize, but then that's the way it should be, better than having been waiting for it for a number of years before actually getting it. The jury had no doubt that the prize goes to one of the brightest minds to be found in the finance industry today. While Professor Stephen Ross is an outstanding academic who currently serves as the Franco Bodigliani Professor of Financial Economics at MIT, we are looking at a man who also manages to be successful in the private sector. His immeasurable expertise in many areas of modern-day finance is sought not only by investment banks and major corporations, but also by leading governmental agencies such as the US Treasury. There will be a day-long symposium to honor your work, Professor Ross, and so I will not dwell too much on the contributions that you have brought to our community, because this would clearly go beyond the scope of what I'm supposed to do here. But given the fundamental links between your work and the financial industry, let me at least point out a few issues of your work that are particularly pertinent also from the perspective of an industry participant. There's one recurring characteristic to most of the many contributions that you have thought and brought to us over the last few decades: your clarity and your style and structure. It even appears to be an obsession of yours to phrase complex phenomena in simple words, and by doing so, disseminate your groundbreaking results to more than just a narrow intellectual elite. This unique ability, as well as your admirable academic rigor, undoubtedly formed the cornerstone of your very distinguished career. In addition to this, the areas of modern-day finance that have been profoundly influenced by your research could not be more crucial. Be it the economics of uncertainty, corporate finance, decision theory, or financial econometrics, we are certainly lucky to be able to welcome you and you're such an agile mind with spheres of interest that are so extensive. Before turning to the essence of this event, the presentation of the award, I would like to highlight at least three of your greatest contributions that are not just as part of your biography, but also central models used regularly by many students at this university, whom I can only thank at this point for their great hospitality as usual. First, one of the earliest things that you were preoccupied with was the theory of agency. While this is a phenomenon known since the times of Adam Smith, it was only formalized by you in the early 1970s, and it will continue to help us to understand and analyze the decision-making process of human beings. The relationship between the principal and the agent and the possible conflicts of interest are a simple thought at first. But you aptly managed to point out the great complexity of solving these problems. Specifically, you tried to answer questions such as, how is it possible to set the right incentives for managers to perform their tasks according to shareholder expectations? What are the main obstacles to a functioning principal-agent relationship? And to what extent can we reach Pareto-efficient outcomes in these problem sets? The initial answer given by your seminal work, Professor Ross, was, and your recognition for the universal importance of this concept provided the basis for many scholars to build upon these thoughts and make this theory what it is today, one of the core frameworks of current corporate finance. The enduring importance of this concept was shown once again in the context of the financial crisis in particular. And it seems obvious that these considerations and the search for effective solutions will occupy many more scholars for years to come. Second, several years after your publication of the principal-agent theory, you presented another groundbreaking concept to the public, the famous arbitrage pricing theory. Professor Kahn already referred to it. This concept was mainly a response to the flaws in the capital asset pricing model, CAPM model, and tried to improve on the assumptions needed to price assets accurately. As you once put it, the CAPM felt as if the words and the music didn't fit, or rather, that math didn't fit the words. So why not change the math to fit the intuition? Rather than focusing on the universal equilibrium in financial markets, as assumed in the CAPM, you stress the role of arbitrage in the process of asset price setting. The simple idea that assets with the same return should have the same price, since otherwise arbitrage would drive the price back to equilibrium, was set at the core of your work. This insight, as well as the more realistic assumptions of your model, contributed tremendously to the general understanding of the topic. Even though the CAPM is still used today, mainly for convenience reasons, it is widely believed that the arbitrage pricing theory is the more comprehensive approach and is largely regarded as a standard tool for modern-day asset pricing. Third, as if these findings were not groundbreaking enough, you focused your research on yet another fundamental problem in our industry, the correct model for pricing options. Again, you tried to make sense out of the more complex model that existed so far and broke the problem down to a straightforward idea. As the option price is locked into the corresponding stock price, preferences cannot matter at all when deciding in what type to invest. We should assume a risk-neutral world. Of course, even though everyone knows that this is merely an assumption, you managed to show the practical usefulness of this idea and made this concept of risk-neutral pricing a standard tool for everyone in the industry. And let us not forget the binomial model that you developed together with your colleagues John Cox and Mark Rubenstein. This model was a simplification of the famous Black-Scholes-Merton model. Probably to extend a special welcome to Mr. Robert Merton, this eternal guest, I'm inclined to say, at this event. Thank you again for being with us. By transforming the model into discrete time periods, you managed to make the intuition behind it understandable for everyone interested in this topic. Furthermore, the basics of the model are still discussed in every course on financial derivatives today. And not only there, most investment banks base their option valuations on these models and accordingly profit from your innovation from more than 30 years ago. But let me be clear. The 3 points I just mentioned were perhaps some of your most notable accomplishments yet they are nothing more than examples of the vast contribution you have made to financial economics over the last few decades. I could have equally discussed your models on interest rate dynamics, the introduction of the Tobin's Q variable to measure a firm's market value, or the most recent of your findings, the so-called recovery theory. It would certainly be tempting to reflect a little more on these other contents, but I do not want to encroach unnecessarily on aspects that Professor Dybvik's speech later on will clearly address. So let me put it simply. As one of the most influential economists of our time, Professor Stephen A. Ross is a very deserving winner of the Deutsche Bank Prize in Financial Economics. The models developed by him have not only profoundly shaped economic theory, but also influenced financial practice and policy during the past 25 years. Ladies and gentlemen, before presenting the award to Professor Ross, allow me to thank all of those who have made this event possible. I would like to extend particular thanks to the members of the jury that were already mentioned by Professor Kran. We are honored that such an impressive group of outstanding experts agreed to participate in this venture again. Let me also thank the staff of the Center for Financial Studies for matching the organization of the Deutsche Bank Prize and this ceremony. And finally, Professor Ross, it is my great honor to present to you the 2015 Deutsche Bank Prize in Financial Economics for your outstanding work and contribution to the major theories of financial and neoclassical developments. May I now ask you to come forward and receive the award.